You're finally stopping the bedtime accommodation, you are holding the boundary through the tears, and then grandma lets them sleep in her bed just this once. Sound familiar? Welcome to this explainer where we are tackling one of the absolute most frustrating dynamics in raising an anxious child. You know exactly what I mean. It's that awful moment when you're working so hard to help them, putting a carefully crafted plan into action, and it feels like another caregiver is, completely accidentally of course, working right against you.
Look, we have all been there, and honestly, it is exhausting. But today, I am promising you a super clear, science-backed roadmap to actually fix this. We are going to talk about how to get every single caregiver, parents, exes, grandparents, you name it, completely on the same page, because we have to stop those hard-won gains from slipping away.
Just imagine school drop-off for a second. On one side, a caregiver holds a really firm, loving line. But on the other, a different caregiver sees the distress, totally caves, and just takes the child home. This split response literally stalls a good anxiety plan right in its tracks. And I want to be super clear here, because this is crucial. Nobody means any harm. The caregiver taking the child home is acting out of deep protective love. But we've got to understand that this inconsistency actually erodes the child's progress. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a huge hole in the bottom. When the child gets mixed signals, the anxiety always finds a loophole.
Okay, let's dive into this. Mechanism, not control. The science of accommodation. To fix this dynamic, we really have to shift the family conversation away from blame.
The mechanism we're talking about here is called family accommodation. Basically, it's adults modifying their own routines to relieve a child's distress. You know, it's answering those extra reassurance questions for the 10th time, or the co-sleeping, doing the talking for them at a restaurant, or actively removing feared things from their path. Family accommodation is the shared behavioral process that actually maintains a child's anxiety. It feels like we're helping, right? But we're inadvertently feeding the disorder. And here is the absolute most important takeaway of all. Anxiety only loosens its grip on your child when every adult in their life loosens the accommodation together.
And the data backs this up perfectly. Research from experts like Lebowitz and Zilchamano proves that caregiver agreement on accommodation actually predicts whether treatment works. Just look at the outcomes. When caregivers have high agreement and act consistently, treatment gains are incredibly strong. But when agreement is low, those gains absolutely plummet. Getting everyone aligned across households isn't just a nice-to-have preference. It is an evidence-based priority for your child's recovery.
Which brings us to the power of caregiver alignment. If you have a skeptical co-parent or a grandparent who thinks you're just being way too harsh, well, this is the validation you need. Prepare to have your mind blown for a second. There's a parent-based treatment called SPACE, which stands for Supportive Parenting for Anxious Childhood Emotions. And a major randomized trial showed that SPACE is just as efficacious as treating the child directly with cognitive behavioral therapy. Let that sink in. Coaching caregivers to respond identically to jointly reduce accommodation and increase supportive statements works just as well as putting the child in therapy. This is a massive game changer. It means that when the adults change their behavior together, the child's anxiety changes, even if the kid refuses to set foot in a therapist's office.
So how do we actually pull this off in real, messy, busy families? Let's open the Unified Caregiver Playbook and walk through the exact steps. It all builds across 4 essential steps. 1. Audit your accommodations. 2. Explain the why without any blame. 3. Implement a shared script. And 4. Align across households. By following this playbook, you're taking family conflict and turning it into a structured, collaborative mission where everyone actually understands the role.
Let's start with step 1, the audit. We use a validated tool for this called the Family Accommodation Scale Anxiety, or FASA. Because instead of having vague, highly emotional arguments like, "You're always babying him," which, let's be honest, literally never ends well, you use a concrete, objective checklist. Sit down with your co-parent or the grandparents and look for the specific behaviors. Ask yourselves, are we giving extra reassurance? Are we co-sleeping? Are we speaking for them? By auditing your daily routines together, you totally remove the defensiveness. It just becomes a shared data-gathering mission.
Step 2 is where your diplomacy really comes in. So the crucial point is how you explain the why to grandparents and co-parents without making them feel attacked. You absolutely must frame this change as protecting the child, not criticizing the other adult's love. Explain to them that rescuing the child from every fear feels incredibly kind in the short term, but it actually teaches the child they can't cope on their own. Show them that taking a step back and backing the unified plan is actually the most deeply loving, empowering move they can possibly make.
Now for step 3, the shared script. I want you to literally screenshot this or burn it into your memory right now. I know this feels scary, and I know you can handle it. Every single caregiver needs to use this exact same response during a fear moment. Why? Because it completely replaces the accommodation with a statement that validates their feeling while simultaneously expressing total, unwavering confidence in the child. When grandma, dad, mom, and the babysitter all use this exact script, the kid receives one identical, rock-solid message of support.
Finally, step 4, aligning across households. Listen, don't try to fix the whole shebang all at once. Pick just 1 or 2 fears to start with. Define the exact accommodations you're all going to drop, and then reduce them in the exact same small steps across all homes and handoffs. And here is a highly recommended tip. Strongly consider involving a professional who can coach the whole caregiving team. Having a therapist guide everyone keeps the whole team accountable and makes sure this alignment actually holds steady, especially during those tricky transition days. And that brings us to the ultimate goal for your family: one shared brave plan. To make sure this unified front holds up across different houses, busy schedules, and stressful bedtimes, you can use tools designed specifically for this, like the Fear Me Not app. It lets you create a shared family brave plan right on your phones. Every caregiver has the exact same playbook, the same shared scripts, and the same agreed-upon boundaries in their pocket. When everyone follows it seamlessly, the child gets one consistent message everywhere they go. Because in the face of childhood anxiety, your family's absolute unity is the ultimate antidote. Which leaves us with one critical question to think about. If your child's anxiety has been relying on your divided front to survive, what happens tomorrow when you finally stand united? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and here's to building your unified brave plan.